Hello, my name is Tim Karubas, and the question I asked is, which economy will be the dominant economy in the 21st century, China or the US? Again, which nation will emerge as the dominant economy at the end of the 21st century, China or the US? Now, this is a very important question because the nation with the most powerful economy will control the most amount of resources throughout the world, and in turn, have a large impact on global politics. Issues like climate change, fight against hunger, poverty, human rights, all these issues will be contributed to by global politics, and the nation with the largest economy will have the loudest voice when it comes to how the human race and how we as a globe deal with these issues. This is an economics question because it is about the flow of resources and productivity. The nation who can use their set amount of scarce resources in the most productive way will have the largest economy. So one of the most common ways to measure the strength of an economy is GDP. That is consumption plus investment plus government spending plus exports minus imports. So the GDP of China is adjusted for about 14 trillion US dollars, and the GDP of the US is about 21 trillion US dollars. So about a fifth of the way through the century, and the US is well ahead of China. That being said, the percent growth of the GDP over the last couple of years, China has been 6% and the US is about 2.3%. So China is almost 4% ahead of the US in how much it's growing. But the US has a higher GDP per capita. So that basically means that US workers are more productive with their scarce amount of resources than Chinese workers, and that the quality of life in the US is arguably better if you just judge quality of life based on GDP per capita. I also noticed that the percent of GDP invested into R&D was higher in the US. Basically, that means that the US is investing more to increase their percent growth in the future than China. So the US should increase their growth by more over more time than China. Because of the head start that the US has and the US investing more money into future growth, I would have to say that the US will remain the leading economic power in the future. Now, because the growth rate of the GDP is higher for China, you could assume that China would eventually overtake the US. But I would still affirm my statement that the US will remain the dominant economic power in the 21st century, and that is mainly because data from China is unreliable. There is a one-party government, and they are heavily involved in their economy. There are many cases of local officials inflating their numbers in order to get promotions within the Communist Party there, and also the government, their investments in infrastructure and other things aren't necessarily productive. They spend money more for the sake of spending money. So they might build a bridge somewhere, but the bridge doesn't actually help anyone. So because of factors like that, Chinese numbers are very inflated and aren't as high as they say they are. But that being said, I can't necessarily predict the entire future. Political, social, natural disasters, different factors could change the statement in the future. That being said, I feel like China is on a more risky political slope than the US. They have a lot more issues regarding how they treat their citizens and their minorities, which could lead to more social unrest and economic crisis. So in turn, because the data is unreliable in China, I would still affirm that my statement that the US would remain the dominant economic power in the 21st century. Thank you.